Hi, everyone. My name is Marcello, co-founder at Tennis. We're a B2B web and product design company. And I've got Simon here.
Hey,
There.
hey everyone. I'm Simon Oliver, design director at Tennis, B2B web design company.
How are you
So
doing?
yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, we're wrapping up for the holidays. I feel like this is our
Yeah.
last episode before everyone turns into a ghost, right? So
Yes, yes, yes. We should have
we'll
worn
have to
some
run.
Christmas hats and stuff.
Oh yeah, should have been more festive.
We could do a New Year's one. We can wear those 2026 New Year's glasses.
Heck yeah, yeah, like a welcome back kind of thing. We should do some. We'll do some reruns while everyone's on break. Got a good cadence going on.
Okay. Okay.
Let's dredge up
I
some of
hear.
the old episodes. You did all those incredible podcasts during COVID, and there's some really stellar content out there that we should
Yeah, that's a
resurface.
good idea. That's a good idea. We'll make a plan for that. All right.
Nice.
What are we talking about today? Today we're talking about turning your website into a growth engine and marketing stacks that actually work. So we've been experimenting with a lot of different. I mean, I'd say like over the last 3 years, sales technology has changed so much. Web technology has changed so much. It continues to change. And most organizations don't have a website problem. They have a goal problem. And the website is just the output of said goals. So you're not coming into it with sales generation as a goal, then the goals of the site are different. They may not meet expectations. Yeah, and technology's changed so much that your websites really can be growth engines now.
Yeah, totally. And like the tech, even on the underlying surface of websites, has changed. There's like new analytics tools, new signaling tools that can tie
Hmm.
into all of your sales ecosystem. There's obviously SEO, like legacy SEO, but now AEO, the answer engine
Hmm.
stuff. And all of these tools have emerged and they're like that invisible layer. And
Yeah.
it's like that has to connect with your goal. And like you said, if, you know, the goal of a website is growth, ideally, but if it isn't growth, then yeah, you're just maybe wasting time managing things.
Yeah. And also the connection to the all the go-to-market brosphere stuff that's happening. What's it called? What's the term again?
Broetry. I mean, yeah,
The
Tommy Clark
go-to-market
said LinkedIn broetry, and I liked it.
LinkedIn brochure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about actual marketing stacks, not just CMS or plugins, but how your website connects to marketing, sales, operations to become a real growth engine, and why so many teams rebuild their site every 3 years and still feel stuck. I mean, they're very separate topics, but from a and strategy lens, we do see a lot of organizations before they start working with us having to redo their websites quite often, and also very rarely meeting the objectives that they have. And sometimes that's just partly because the objectives they haven't decided on objectives for the website. I think also organizations just
Yeah.
don't. Larger organizations are a little bit slower to move on testing new technology, probably partly because of bandwidth and time, and also it's tough to make that investment without knowing that the software can scale to that level. And a lot of this software, I think, is targeted mainly at smaller mid-market companies. And so they just don't really know what's possible, which is part of what our job is, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is an aside, but when clients start new projects with us, it's pretty surprising how few of them are coming prepared with any sort of previous analytics on how the old
Yeah.
site has performed. And they never know where to find their logins to Google Search Console, like a core component of your SEO journey, right?
Because
So
no one's using it. Like,
no, that's the thing. They ask for it and then they don't use it.
it's actually like, I mean, of course, you know as well, we both have done a lot of work in SEO, but pretty complicated for like the average team to just pick up and run with and start setting goals and using that data for strategic decision making. Like, it's not actually that approachable, and I think people just don't do it.
Yeah. I think there's a threshold for the type of business that does it, like those
Hmm.
mid-market ones that are open to testing tools maybe or not. They lack the bandwidth to implement some of these things. Whereas you look at enterprise and they are dialed in on the tools, the go to market, like most of the time. I can't say all the time,
Yeah. And I think there's
but
just more software out there that is more approachable. And I think of even like I forget what it's called, but that software you've been messing around with, which visualizes raw data, is easier to manage for a team once you have the right metrics in there.
oh yeah, Google Looker Studio, which is just like it's just a data aggregation dashboard.
Hmm.
And the reason we implemented that was because we started all of these new marketing initiatives. We were starting to do some AEO tooling, but we're just like, how can we track? Like, what metrics should we track? So we picked like 3 to 5, built a dashboard, and the dashboard came together in like a couple hours. So you just have to get really specific about what you're even tracking.
Hmm. All right. So before we talk about stacks or platforms, what type of goals can websites typically serve for an organization?
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
we'll
there's
both
like a couple
have,
categories I think that are pretty typical. Um, you can start.
yeah, I mean, lead generation.
Yeah. So sales goals like
Yeah.
lead, quantity, quality,
Hmm.
distribution,
Yeah.
marketing goals, content reach, awareness, turnaround, production,
Yeah.
quantity
Visibility.
again, ability, efficiency goals. So, administration, that's really a time metric most of the time. Time, and there's some qualitative data there around like just hating using your website.
Yeah.
And then on the most basic level, if there's no sort of quantitative marketing and sales goals, just the qualitative goal of not having to deal with frustration or even just cost. It's too expensive. It's too frustrating to use. It's just a really, really basic sort of goal that we can kind of unpack and dig into a bit more.
Yeah. And that's rooted usually in the selection of your content management system, which like we did a 3 part series on that. So that would be a really good one
Mm,
to turn back to if you haven't listened. But all the stuff about efficiency for your internal marketing workflows really comes back to your CMS that you're selecting. It's like
yes.
that should be one of your efficiency goals, like less admin, fewer workarounds, something that can scale with you. So, I come at it from that perspective.
Hmm.
And it's like for you, you're definitely more on the marketing side, and I'm like more on the marketing tech side. Like, how do you see marketing teams typically define website success? Like, where does that fall short usually?
Still think it's relatively a tough question. There's so many variables here, but I think that what is common in the SaaS space is that your website's supposed to drive product purchases, right? Like because it's quite an easy purchase. A lot of it is e-com based. You're basically just signing up for a different tier based on research. You could sign up for a demo, whatever, but those are all conversions. So like signing up for demos, signing up for a paid tier, and for some reason, it seems really a lot of the strategies seem really on point when it comes to SaaS. But when it comes to B2B, which is more complex, longer sales cycles, way more relationship building, way more human contact, oftentimes, I think people often underestimate the power of specifically trying to work on either conversions or engagement through a website. And so I see oftentimes like marketing teams saying, the goal might be we want to be producing a lot of content, but that's the way goals are typically described. And there's not a lot of metrics behind that, at least not that I've heard. Maybe the metrics are kept internally and not communicated externally. But it's usually very qualitative. We want to share more content, we want to be a thought leader, and then that's it. And so
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
to get really detailed in terms of like the type of tech stack that would be used and what we would recommend, I think the goals need to be more detailed. If it's just qualitative, then maybe you don't need the type of tracking that another organization might need if they're thinking about conversions or trying to generate leads. Or
Maybe.
a
But
marketing
like,
team might be trying to do a lot more lead gen, so the strategy might be different. It might be the website is one sort of static site, and then there's a landing page strategy, or like there's a central hub where you're operating from. It's a totally different strategy. So it's so varied, I think. It's
Hmm.
hard to say like this is what's seen most commonly, but I would say that like in general, quantitative goals and versions are not usually brought to the table unless we ask more questions and go through a few more whys before getting to the actual point, the actual data.
Yeah. I think there's a really good point to expand on your idea there. It's that even some of the teams that bring this stuff to us, like the content, they want to produce more content. That's great, but oftentimes that still requires strategy, right? You might be producing the content, but you might not be implementing a content strategy that leverages AEO or the new schema like the JSON LD, which we'll get to talking about. And that stuff's going to enhance your SEO and AEO. So some teams
Mm-hmm.
just think, well, we're just going to pump out content. That's the main goal. Well, it's like content for who? What's the underlying scripts that you're going to use for that content so that you're talking to the
Mm-hmm.
robots as well as the people
Yeah.
so that you can drive those goals and thought leadership? And then there's one other thing I wanted to mention too. Like, yeah, people might come to the website, but for us, knowing who comes to the website has been really valuable in our own sales journey, right? And there's tools that help de-anonymize traffic to your site. Like it's a very big thing in the go-to-market strategy with SaaS, which is which companies are visiting my website. Having that information is really useful because if you ship an RFP, even if you're an architect, engineer, whatever, or an agency, if you're shipping an RFP, you're sending it out into the void. Your often contact is only through email. What if you had this other metric as well, where it's like, oh, well, the person we shipped an RFP to also just visit our website like 10 times,
Mm-hmm.
right? It gives you more insights and signals into what's happening in the background with a potential deal. And I think even architects, I think a lot of them could benefit from that. Those are those social signals that are becoming so critical to the GTM space these days.
I mean, anyone that has an active sales strategy, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a good segue into the next part of the discussion, which is, your website should be part of a full growth ecosystem. And there's only so much that we have control over when it comes to the website and tech stack. But you're right, that is a great starting point for someone, for an organization who has a BD team or a sales team, and they are kind of thinking like, how do we start using the website as a growth marketing and BD tool? One really valuable piece of technology is like understanding who's visiting the site, but also understanding that that's part of a larger ecosystem. So having that as part of your tech stack is one piece of the puzzle, but you kind of want to be able to long term be able to connect all of those pieces together behind the scenes so that for instance, that you've got salespeople or BD people talking to this person at this company, and there's all these other signals that are happening as well on your website, in your content, in your podcast, in your subscribers, on your newsletter, and all of that, ideally, and I think that's more of a long-term goal for a lot of organizations, but all of that ideally should be talking to each other so that you have a much bigger picture of what's actually happening with engagement and awareness within certain targets. Um, and that's a mix of website, but also like having some of the back end strategy and culture around like sales and BD marketing.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. It's so multifaceted these days. Like you have the founder led marketing, you have the cast of characters where organizations are realizing the power of social and they're getting their own employees to get on LinkedIn. But simply posting on LinkedIn, it's like, well, what's that doing? Is that getting traction? Who's engaging? Where does that data go? Does it connect to my CRM? Like there's a full overview of
Mm-hmm.
how things like the CRM, the CMS, the analytics, the marketing automations, all that stuff, like how it even connects together. But I think at the core of that, the website is the hub, and then all of the other activities are the spokes.
Yeah. And then there's the process stuff that the organization needs to be considerate of, like, failure points like marketing and sales not talking to each other, or like how do you even communicate the stuff that's happening on the website to the stuff that's happening in sales and marketing so that there's a cohesive picture of how an organization's engaging with your brand or a person. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those
There's
things
a,
need to be connected.
there's a question I have for you. This
Mm-hmm.
might be a big one though. So like your background, like you know sales kind of ins and in and out, right? That is you driving our sales strategy. Our target usually is people in marketing departments, right? Because marketing departments need the website. But my question to you is like what would you tell a salesperson, right? Like how do you get a salesperson being a champion for a website? What would you tell them?
So, what rephrase the question a bit? What would I tell a salesperson being a champion of the website?
Well,
Like,
how
I
would you
think I know what you're trying
convince
to say,
someone
but
in sales that the website is critical and that they should
oh,
champion the use or the cultivating a strong web presence, right?
I think the website does that job by the website and the use of the website. So a combination of the technology and the execution from marketing does it on its own by generating leads.
Yeah.
Like if
Do
you
you
have
find
salespeople that are getting leads that are coming from web and marketing based activities, that is enough for us, in my opinion, for a salesperson to be like, oh, this is awesome. Like we
right?
are, our marketing's actually working. Our website's actually working. Like if they see results, then they're going to champion, going to be a
Yeah,
fan
that's
of the
true.
website. So
Would
it's a
you say it's
combination of
true?
marketing, sales. Yeah,
Sorry, yeah. Would you say it's true that sales and marketing just aren't always talking to each other? Like they're
yeah,
not
for
as deeply
sure, for sure,
integrated?
for sure. A lot of
Okay.
organizations, I think it's like the roles are siloed a little bit too much.
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
they
like the
both have the
web
same
is,
goal. Like marketing's goal is to drive revenue and sales goal is to drive revenue. Marketing is just doing it by communicating and building a community of potential buyers and ultimately trying to convert those people into some level of interest. And then sales is taking it from interest to sales, a sale to revenue, basically.
yeah. So like
So
marketing is the
it's an
distribution.
end-to-end experience, but it's handled by two different groups. So
Yeah.
like ideally they're working together in some capacity or like they're less siloed. But yeah, I've been places where it's very siloed and I've seen places where it's not very siloed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So what are the
what's
5 things to turn a website into a growth engine?
cool. One other point. We should also do like a quick segment on the tech stack, like just talk about
Yes. Yeah.
CMS, AEO, like with JSON
Yeah.
schema stuff. I'm going to try to make it not technical, but yeah, we can just
So
cover that out.
yeah, let's start with 5 essential pieces of technology that will help your website become a growth engine.
5 essential pieces of tech. Okay.
Yeah. What is the tech stack?
I mean, for
I mean,
us,
obviously
like,
there's a CMS, we all know. So the
yeah,
CMS is
yeah,
a CMS, and that is part of it, but it's tons of variables depending on the company, the situation, whatever. So let's remove that. What
yeah,
are
yeah.
other pieces of technology that you think are essential to having your website on a growth engine?
I've got 3, and this is just speaking from recent experience for all the experiments that we've been doing. The first is Surfer SEO. Surfer SEO has been an incredible tool, an expensive tool, but it allows us to construct content around keywords, but also inject relevant phrases and questions into our content for AI, like LLMs. And a tool like Surfer SEO, it helps you like plan all the content. It audits your website because it connects with Google Search Console. So it tells you which pages are high performers, low performers, and then you can optimize through that. So Surfer has been an incredible tool for us when it comes to strategically creating keyword rich content, but also LLM rich like snippets. And the last thing I'll say there is there's a bit of a content strategy around that as well. And that's make sure you have a good article summary if you're doing articles, but also make sure you have incredible FAQs, like an FAQ section. Those are exactly what people are looking for in LLMs. Think about it. Like people are prompting, you know, what's the best XYZ, right? It's asking all of these questions. So if your content is really leveraging questions and then followed by the answers, that's a great strategy for producing content. So that's my one. I got two more. What you got? You got
You can
something?
do yours first. Yeah. I'm sure. I don't know what you're going to say. So
Oh,
there might be some overlap. You do yours first, and then hopefully
yeah.
we'll have two left.
Nice. So maybe the next one that's a good segue from Surfer SEO is the Google schema, rich snippet schema, whatever we want to call it. But the technical term is JSON LD, JSON dash LD. I don't actually know what it means. JSON is just a format for how you structure content, but it is the robot readable code that is under the surface of the web page. So you write this article, you've got your article summary, you have your article text, maybe you have a video in it, and then you have your FAQ section. You essentially have a ghost page on the same page, like all of this ghost content that is structured for robots, purely robots, to go in, read the page, understand the context, surface anything relevant to a user. Because robots want structure. They're not like us. They're not reading left to right, top to bottom, not looking at images, getting distracted by something. They expect structure and context, and you have to give that to them. So JSON LD, it's a legacy tool from SEO, which is cool. Like just do that. But the thing is, I think Guy from Webflow, he mentioned that 80% of websites aren't even using JSON LD, which is crazy. It's been around for probably decades now, and it's not even in use. But now it's seeing a huge resurgence because of how important it is. So
Okay. Number
that's my
three.
second one. Number three, analytics. So you really don't know what your marketing is doing or your website is doing or your content even if you do not know what signals to look for or track. So it's going to be different for every business. You should narrow down on 3 to 5 key metrics that you know you can influence with your marketing strategy or on-page SEO and technical SEO strategy, and then just drill down into those. Build a dashboard in something simple like Google Looker Studio, and then go from there. Don't get distracted by anything else. Just focus. Like that is a tool. Focus on these 3 to 5 key metrics that you know you can change, and then start producing the content and structure to change it and see what it does week over week. It's a long game. Like we've had ours set up since November and like our data has hockey sticked since then. It's been wild, but it didn't change the first week, right? So
Mm-hmm,
it is,
mm-hmm.
it's slower. And now that we're many weeks in, we can see week over week, the numbers just keep going up. And our position and ranking, even in Google and LLMs, like keeps getting better. So
Um, Mine would probably be for number four, like some sort of the anonymization tech so that you
heck
know
yeah.
who's actually visiting your website. And there's different, you've got to be really careful because there's different compliance rules depending on what country you're targeting. And so the data is going to be different geographically, but at the very minimum, having some information around what companies, I mean, for B2C, it's very different. Like you won't be able to actually do it, but for B2C, B2B, just having an idea of what companies are coming to your website and where they're going is a really important. piece of data to inject into your overall sales and marketing strategy. It informs a lot of where you spend your time, how you're advertising, what channels you're going to be advertising on, or running any sort of promotional campaigns or campaigns in general. So that's a really critical one. And then
Yeah,
not
I
really
love
a
that one.
web stack piece of technology, but connecting your marketing channels, like having a strong connection between your marketing channels back to your website. So if you are doing content strategy or something like that, understanding, what channels you are marketing on and making sure that you're trying to push that traffic back to the website so that you can continue to build on the data that you're getting would be
Yeah.
another critical piece of, I mean, it's more of a strategy, but I guess it is technology because there was a period of time where the default for all companies was we want to connect our social channels, right? Like everyone used to want that all
Yeah.
the time, but for no reason, for literally no reason, because there was no connection between the social channels and the website. It was just a way to actually push people from the website to your social channels, just to connect on your social channels. There was no real strategy behind it. So I think that's changed a lot lately, but yes, I think that's an important one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then if you are doing that, make sure you use your attribution links. Like you can
Yes.
really,
So that's the technology.
yeah, that's the technology, the URL.
Yeah.
If you just put, UTM equals LinkedIn personal profile, like that's going to show up in your analytics because Google Analytics is just that smart
hmm
to parse that link and tell you if your LinkedIn strategy is driving traffic to your site or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I even think to our own site, we've coalesced so much content there. We've got YouTube videos on the site. We have our articles that connect back to YouTube, connect back to the podcast, and then Spotify links. Like it's all so deeply connected, but the main goal is, get people to the site, engaging with the content a bit deeper, and from there, hopefully we can learn a little bit more.
Totally. And also just the fact that like all of that stuff's connected and some of it is owned by the same giant Google. It's
Yeah.
important for search, right? All right. So let's end on like what are the next, what are the five, we did the five pieces of technology. What are the five things that you do if you are redesigning a site and, you have some goals around sales and marketing?
Nice.
Yeah. So the first one I think is just defining the primary job of the website. Like what is the goal? Like what actually why are you even investing in the website? And it has to be beyond just it needs a refresh. I mean, for some companies maybe that is the only thing that they need is a visual update, but
Nah,
I suspect that most organizations really need a lot more than just a visual update. If you're missing out on an opportunity for it to be a core product in your sort of sales and marketing function. That's
totally.
all.
Yeah. There is, I know we're going through a list, so this is a tangent, but there is only one single customer that we work with, like a customer profile that we work with, where the only need is this aesthetic and content update.
hmm
It's family offices or like capital websites. We've had
True.
3 of those clients in the past, and every discovery call we have with them, it's like, hey, like what do you want this website to do for you on the business side? And like what sort of analytics do you want plugged into it? They're like, we don't care. This is literally just information
hmm
to prove to people that our investment like hold co exists at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I get it
And
for
our
family
philosophy.
offices. For capital companies, I don't get it because like they are doing sales and outreach. Like I get messages. I have a message right now from someone who's like
Yeah.
reaching out because someone in their network is interested in the business. But like, yeah. So I just think it could be better.
I think it could be way better. Yeah, I think you should retract your statement about like maybe there are some people just that need an aesthetic refresh. They need way deeper thinking. All of them.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be motivated though. So I totally get how
Yeah.
some companies might just be like, we just want to brand update. Okay, number two. Go
All
ahead.
right. Okay. Map how leads and signals move through the organization. Yeah, I mean that's a good one. That's like the de-anonymization stuff that we were talking about. You can actually track a lead from start to finish throughout the entire sales cycle, how they might show up on the website, be reviewing proposals, but tracking that stuff in a CRM is making sure to leverage that technology. Every
Hmm.
organization should have a CRM that is not a Google spreadsheet, right? You have to track those deal flows. And we've talked to companies where we're like, hey, what's your CRM? They're like a Google sheet. Yeah.
Sure.
So,
All right. Number three, decide where SEO and content really fit within the strategy, not the website. First, within your strategy. So mapping out where leads and signals come from and go and move through your organization, as your organization exists currently, is important to understand, start to inform how you might be able to influence some of that stuff. So then the second part of that is, where does SEO and content truly fit? Which is important because you kind of want to meet prospects and potential buyers where they are before getting to your website. So part of the deciding where SEO and content fit is figure out what the strategy is. Like, how are you going to be using SEO?
yeah, that's a great one. And I like this next one too. It's the eliminate tools that don't serve a clear role. Like I find that websites, people ask to include so many different tools and third party integrations, but they haven't evaluated them yet and they don't fully know how they plan on using them.
Hmm.
So for us, like the way we operate internally is we'll do a quick experiment, usually over a 2 to 3 week period, maybe a month. We'll pay the subscription fees to test out a new integration, new tool, see if it works, see if it's a lot to maintain, and see if it adds any value to our workflow. And then if it doesn't,
Mm.
then we cut it. You reduce costs, but at least you now know the clear reason for that tool. So once you've scaled up and you can fit it into your strategy, then you can include the tool. Like a good example of things I constantly see is the inclusion of a chat bot. And like
Yeah.
there are good reasons to include a chatbot, but a lot of the reasons we come across, it's just they want something on the site to redirect questions
Hmm.
when the answer should actually be, well, the content strategy didn't work from the start. How do we help people find the right information without having to ask a chatbot? Right. Because the chatbot doesn't help you with SEO, but a good content strategy will help you with SEO. So you're like, yeah, you're solving a problem you have with something that doesn't even really add much value to your business as well. That's
Hmm.
just my opinion on chatbots.
Yeah, that's good. And then the last one is just designing for the next 3 to 5 years. So building a plan is important because you're sort of visioning where you want to be in 3 to 5 years. So some of the tools and even strategies you might just be stepping into, but the goal is not the next 12 months. The goal is the next 36 months. Where could you be with this once you get into a good workflow, good rhythm, and you kind of understand how it all fits into your larger sales and marketing strategy? Yeah,
Yeah, it's a long term thing. Like 3 to 5 years is the duration we usually get thrown around.
totally. Okay.
Awesome.
So we covered goals, content-led growth, SEO, how a website actually fits into a sales and marketing ecosystem. Simon, if there's one hard truth teams need to hear about website stacks, what is it?
Oh man. Wow, you really put me on the spot with this one.
I've got one off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's gonna come down to content strategy, which that informs so much. It's not tech, but it connects to a lot of the different tech.
Hmm.
So, I don't know if it fully answers your question, but one of our one of our mutual friends, like she's always saying like content is design. And for us, it is like starting with the architecture, starting from the problems your users are facing or the marketing challenges you're looking to solve. All of that's going to come back to your content structure and
Yeah.
strategy. And without that, you are really just shooting in the dark and implementing anything else like the SEO, Surfer SEO, AEO, anything like that. It's kind of useless if you don't have that content strategy in place.
Yeah. That's great.
What was yours?
If your
I'm
website,
curious.
well, I feel like um, it's better to just focus on one hard truth. I think yours is good. I was just
Okay.
gonna say, and maybe mine's not one hard truth, but like if your website there's, I think my comment is just that there's no excuse for your website to do nothing these
I like
days.
it.
Even if you feel like the business doesn't need it, there's still no reason why it needs to be a static asset that just exists and does nothing. That's it.
I like that. I think that's a harder truth than mine. Mine's way more
Okay.
like practical. I think, yeah, that is the hard truth.
Yeah, there's just no reason not to.
No, no
Um,
excuse.
if your website feels expensive but underwhelming, the problem is not the website. The problem is just how you framed it within its role within the business and within the functions within the business. So marketing and sales. We do this at Tennis all the time with our clients. So, helping organizations design websites and tech stacks that actually help with growth and achieving ROI is core to the work that we do. So, if this content is interesting to you, please subscribe. It helps us to continue to create more of this content. And if you want to chat web or tech in any capacity, because we love talking about this stuff, please reach out. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Take it
Bye.
easy, man. See ya.
Bye.